This presentation shows the use of the dialogue model in mental health care. It is one of a set of 4 videos about shared decision making in complex care. One is about the value of a personal and contextual approach in shared decision making. Another one explains the dialogue model method, and the third one shows the use of the dialogue model in medical practice. You will find the links to these videos at the end of this presentation. Now we show the use of the dialogue model in case of an adolescent who is in care for some weeks now. She took a couple of times too much pills, cuts herself frequently, and showed suicidal ideation then. Earlier she was given care somewhere else, including admission on a closed ward. Things only got worse then. She has moved lately, lives alone, and doesn't have any daily activities. Earlier she was diagnosed having an eating disorder, now having a borderline personality disorder. The last weeks she and the mental health team have endured several crisis situations. And now they have decided to evaluate these events and make a step aside to overlook her situation and to find out how they can go along in the most suitable way. Her regular contact person suggests to use the whiteboard to co-create this overview. Normally, the care provider draws the picture step by step and points out the connections and the coherence to make things clear. In this presentation, we simulate this procedure by accentuated elements with green ovals. First, he draws this puppet and says, "This is you." She smiles and responds, "Yeah, I like that body." Both immediately think of her former anorectic period. A professional intended to focus on the actual situation. He sees her reaction as part of her special kind of humor and gives her a smile in return. By the way, often the introduction of this picture breaks the tension. Shared decision-making sessions can be stressful, learns daily practice, because of high expectations and many doubts and insecurity. The therapist draws an arrow, points out with some keywords the reason why she receives care at the moment. She nods and says, "That's how it is." He leaves some space so they can add some more keywords later on and draws another arrow and adds some words which tell in short how the team has acted and reacted the last weeks. They've tried to be available and to help her calm down, to regain some balance again. He points out that they have tried to stay in touch with her in a dialogical way as far as possible. Sometimes it couldn't be enough for her, and then again, without any clue, they couldn't reach her at all. They summarize this dynamic with "doors open, doors closed." A complicated circle for them all. The therapist suggests to zoom into her inner side. In earlier sessions, sometimes it was possible for her to be more open and to talk about what they called her inner side. That's okay with her. On an emotional level, she obviously experiences 2 extremes, which are typical for her: feeling nothing at all, totally empty, or flooded by the most negative emotions. She also suffers from sudden severe mood swings. The therapist writes these words down and adds the character E together with its meaning in the right upper corner. Then they talk about how she thinks about herself, her situation, the care given, her future, and so on. Herewith it becomes clear that her thoughts as well are very extreme. She doesn't have any in-between opinions. It's all or nothing, and more often nothing or death. They catch this way of thinking with the keywords he writes down near the TH. Thinking low and negative, she also hurts herself often. The therapist points at her thoughts and on her behavior to show this link. She adds with a little smile, and then the doors of me are sealed shut. She's quiet then, and tells him that sometimes it seems like she's completely gone, not existing anymore. These moments she hurts herself as well. Better to feel pain than totally nothing. Feeling nothing is awful. Physical pain is better to tolerate than emotional pain. It's also a kind of punishment, she says. They summarize all these with the keywords aside of the character PH, of physical. Relationally spoken, they notice a very complex paradox. On the one hand, she needs other people for 100% or more, and on the other hand, she doesn't trust anyone at all. On the outside, this shows by an alternation of her extreme depending and rejecting behavior, her open and closed doors, so to speak, already written down on the whiteboard. If they watch the picture together, they recognize on all levels a huge imbalance and a shift from one extreme to completely the opposite, vice versa. Who she really is, what she really wants, she doesn't know, but feelings of being worthless dominate. As a matter of fact, she feels different all the time, not one and the same person at all. She lacks enough balance and unity, so to say. If they define others who can support her, they sadly conclude that she only has one best friend to lean on sometimes. Her friend is a kind of fellow surfer. She also has endured what she herself calls her dark days. These two words stand for her childhood, during which she was sexually abused many times and neglected for a long time. She hasn't got any contact with her family anymore, except for one kind aunt she rarely sees. When she remarks that it's all a complete mess, her therapist uses this moment to adjust this view somehow. He says, "Anyway, without any doubt, you have a lot of humor, and that she won't deny. She can be sharp-tongued, but often with a funny undertone. Furthermore, she's quite smart." "That's right," she says, and adds, "This can be helping, but hindering too. I've got some good and bad ideas the whole day." Her therapist recognizes this duality and confirms how difficult this must be. With her friend, she can have some fun once in a while. And furthermore, she likes to help other people. If possible, she helps out in a charity shop in the neighborhood. And sometimes she performs her own city life raps in a local music bar. "Only if I have had some drinks," she smiles. And in earlier days, she made some beautiful sculptures. Being creative is one of her talents. It is her dream to go to an art school one day in the future. Though it is difficult to see all this, she says that she thinks that it's quite apt this way, the picture of the story of her life. Her therapist suggests that they will try to use it to understand how things go all the time and if it can help them any further, and that's okay with her. As a person, she is barely in balance, and she can't tell which way she wants to go, what she really wants. She is afraid that the art school never will be possible. And they can understand that she's so fragile if they consider all life events. Notice, not as a one-on-one cause-effect explanation, but to comprehend and understand it better in some way. The impact of all trauma has been giant. The therapist gives some education on attachment, trauma, and development. As a child, the circumstances were far from adequate to become a more and more independent person who has learned to regulate inner shifts of emotions and thoughts, lacks inner firmness, and did not acquire enough behavior organization. In fact, she still acts and reacts as a child, quickly, out of balance, and how she feels, thinks, relates, and behaves still has an all or nothing pattern. She still feels totally dependent on others, but never had enough opportunities to experience that important others were trustful enough. If others aren't available to help if necessary, she literally feels fear of death, totally lost. Her self-harming behavior can be understood as a cry for help. Take care of me, I can't handle it anymore. Theoretically, this behavior also can be seen as the destruction of a virtual internal threatening other as a result of the abuse and other trauma. Now others will have to give help in a balanced way, otherwise she tends to let go everything, almost as a little child that is totally dependent on her parents or other caregivers. The therapist points out the several elements of the picture to make clear their interdependency and how she and others, the professionals as well, are trapped in a behavioral interactional circle. Talking this way makes sense to her. This is the way it goes, but looking at this picture, it also feels as if we are talking about somebody else, not about me, she says. It feels a little strange to me as well. Her therapist understands this and hopes it will help her to feel less guilty, reflecting upon this situation together. It is not her fault how things went and go nowadays. Maybe it can help her to accept the way they want to help her, not by taking over everything, but to be there if necessary and to stay in the middle of the road, so to say, not following her extremes. Then she won't develop more self-regulation, self-direction, if they should organize everything for her. And they, as professionals, can understand and can deal with her rejections looking this way. They feel less personal addressed. They want to act team-wise with her, working together as much as possible. And they will have to define concrete aims to work on the change wanted. The changes she wants, to be exact. Only she can determine which path she wants to walk. Of course, they also have some ideas about how to work together and to find out together how they can establish more improvement and change. "All right, let me hear," she says. Talking about what kind of therapy matches best, they agree that the development of more inner firmness and more self-regulation must be a central focus of whatever therapy they think suits best. Her smartness, humor, and creativity are helping entrances anyway. Her distrust will be a barrier they will have to overcome in time. Developing more trust in others will be another central point of attention. For quite some time, she will need the help of others to regain balance. The team will be aware to dose their help carefully, not too much, not too less. She knows the importance, although she also knows that she will ask more at times and will be very angry if they won't deliver all she wants at once. And also that she will close her doors completely, even if it's risky. Looking back, they see that when she felt left alone, reality or not, crisis situations emerged. They conclude that this kind of situations won't be over yet. Misunderstanding can happen unwillingly, and no one is perfect. This counts for therapists as well. Whatever happens, they will try to keep in touch. That can be helpful anyway. Try to avoid that she feels fearfully all alone. They decide to start working on gaining more stability, more trust, more self-regulation. Hopefully, later on, more trauma-focused therapy will become possible then. She likes the idea to engage her best friend and other peer counselors. They do understand her best, she says. Her therapist asks if she wants to get in touch with someone of her family already. That's out of the question for her. It makes her instantly very angry. Then she says that for today it has been enough. And her therapist nods and says he agrees. They have had a good talk together, but also quite intense. He will reintroduce this family theme at a more convenient moment. In his experience, sometimes family members more than expected want to contribute, if possible, but because of all kind of entanglements, they don't know how anymore. He assures her to make a new therapy plan using this overview. They will talk it over the next time, see if it is clear and okay with her. They will use it as a guiding contract with the clear aims they just have defined, and also to make suitable arrangements in case of possible crisis situations. Then she leaves to see her friend, she says. So far this example. Hopefully it has shown how very complicated problems can be pictured in a convenient, neutral, hope-generating way, and that the dialogue model is used to attune, to connect, to agree, and to cooperate on several levels. The picture is used as a graphic interface to match the personal and the professional perspectives, to co-create a shared hope generating illustrated narrative. We have come to the end of this presentation. You can find more information about the dialogue model method on our website. Also information for patients or clients on shared decision making. You can reach us by our Dutch email address if you have further interest, for instance, to receive a manual for free or have any other questions. If you want to get more information about the dialogue model and its application by video, you can click on the following presentations. The first one is a general introduction of shared decision making and stresses the importance of a personal and contextual approach. The second one provides more information concerning the dialogue model itself, and the last one gives you an impression of how the dialogue model can be used in medical practice. Thank you for your kind attention.